close as well. Hope you find someone.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it, doing something mean to it, doing something mean to it. 21st century, doing something mean to it, do it better than anybody ever seen. Do it. This is way too much. I need a moment.
We made it.
Got the patch. It was, to give a bit of context, we was very on the fence on whether this would come off at all, because originally was going to do it with another guy from my gym, but he pulled his quad. We had about a week to try and find a partner. I found someone else. They dropped out. So Michael got the call up like 2 days before.
Very late call.
But being the athlete that he is, ready for anything, we sort of threw it together. I think we did really well. I was sort of surprised at how well we did.
We did good.
So 102, and I think my thoughts were going into this is we'll probably make a lot of mistakes, and we might need to then adjust for London. But actually, I think we did pretty well. I mean, how did you find the?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was a last minute briefing on the car in the car
journey here.
In the car journey here of how we're going to do the changeovers, who's going to take what. We ended up sort of splitting the exercises half and half, but then you finishing the exercises worked well, because obviously that's the slightly harder way round to do it, because you then go into the run.
Think for the running, yeah.
So I think that worked well, and then we obviously talked about the classic changes, like only one change on the row and two changes on the ski and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was all right, yeah. And then other parts like the lunges maybe could be slightly tighter, but we was able to get.
Yeah, I think it's being. I think when you're pushing for fast times, if you're doing the doubles, then I think that like the transitions are really important, because of that's free time, if that makes sense. Like, no matter how fit you are, you can be, if you're sharp with changing over, then you're going to save time, and it's not going to cost you any more energy. Everyone could just be on the ball in terms of changing over. And I think where we, like I said this in another video, but like communicating with your partner, saying when you're going to change over, like when you got two, especially on things like the lunges and the burpees and the wall balls, when you got like 3 or 2 more reps to go, so that they know when to jump in. And I think we did all right at that. I think we could still do a little bit better, but
I suppose just some seconds that could
Seconds,
be
yeah,
shaved
exactly.
off there.
but like I say, it's seconds that you're not. You don't need to be fitter for.
That's true. Yeah.
So you've done now a singles open,
Singles open, a doubles.
pro, and this is your second doubles pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. How would you find the difference between the singles open and the doubles pro?
Singles open was this time last year, and it was a big effort. Obviously, I think this time around it seemed like it was a lot more on the cardio side because it felt like we was always running, and the and the exercise station sort of just went past.
Yeah.
We sort of obviously we split them up well, and then we shared the exercises, and then was back doing laps, laps of the course.
Yeah.
So in that way, you didn't get the sort of, I suppose, muscular fatigue,
Yeah.
but it was always on the lungs. Like you was just
Yeah.
trying to catch your breath after each station, and then
Yeah.
by the time you've sort of almost caught your breath on the third lap, you're doing another exercise.
Yeah. I think that exactly the same. I think some people would sort of think of the doubles as a beginner event in terms of a way sharing the load and a way to get into Hyrox. But I would say it's actually like more cardiovascular dominant. So because of you're sharing the load, you're not doing as much on those stations, and it doesn't feel like the stations don't feel as hard because you're breaking them up. But then you are back onto the running sooner, and that's where.
So if you want to get fast time,
it's almost more emphasis on the running. I think in the singles, even the very best take breaks. Like they break on the sled, where in the doubles someone is going the entire time. There is no break in play as such. So I think it puts that much more emphasis on the running.
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's where you can make up time.
It was good that we did work out a rough plan for timings of the laps. We sort of had a pace in mind that we wanted to do. We were aiming for, I think, 4:15 to 4:30.
Yeah.
And then we worked out that'd be a minute and a half per lap, and a minute 20 on the last lap because that's shorter.
Slightly shorter, yeah.
Luckily, you was keeping track of time the whole time with your watch, and I was just sort of following along. But each time we went round, Rob would say, "Oh, I was a minute 38 or something," so we'd just be like a couple seconds behind our target each time. That sort of kept us going.
Kept us spurring on, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that is good to do for getting an awareness of your pace, but not to be too caught up on the number, because of and I said this in my last video where I think I banked on those numbers too much.
Yeah.
In that you never quite know how accurate the Hyrox setup is in terms of the run compared to rock zone and the loops. Obviously, it's supposed to be 8.7 in total, but you never quite know if the runs are exactly 1K and all of the rock zones equal 0.7 or one's longer, one's shorter. So therefore, you can't be super precise with those timings. It might be that the runs are a little bit long and each of your times are a little bit long, and I think that was the case with us. Our run times were that little bit longer, but it was still okay because the rock zone was a bit shorter. And I think
we kept talking to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, we were still all right. Yeah, we're still all right. We were
Yeah,
able to sustain the pace.
We more used it as a measure of how we're getting on than as a we need to hit these times.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
No, which worked well.
So I think that worked well because you can tell. For example, I knew we dropped off a little bit on the burpees, the run after burpees.
Oh yeah.
And then, but the fact that we was able to get it back on the rower after the rower, that run after the rower was all right. Now we're back on track. Let's see if we can hold this for Farmers around. It got a little bit harder around the
and
farmers.
then, it's a very tricky block when it went row, farmers, lunges, and then we sort of went back on the up on the lunges.
Yeah. I think because with the doubles, you have to follow your partner. So where, like in the singles, the farmers is one of the easier stations. I think in the doubles, it's one of the harder stations, not because of the actual station is hard, but because if you don't really get a break, you're running with your partner as he goes round.
Yeah.
And it's a short station, then you're back to the running again. You
Yeah.
know, it's that you don't really get a chance. You come to the stations and you think you're going to get a breather. I think with the farmers, you don't actually get a breather.
It's basically run 6, farmers, which is more running, and then straight to run 7.
Yeah. And then it was a full send to the end.
I think the 3 laps thing felt like you was turning corners quite often.
Yeah,
like,
I was
there's a
gonna
lot
say,
of corners.
what thoughts on Manchester? I've done that like 3 times now.
Right.
And I like the venue in terms of the aesthetics. It's actually just there. We've been watching people come in and out all day.
Yeah, they're currently racing the Sunday,
and we'll pop it. I mean, you'll obviously see it. It's a good aesthetic venue, I think, and like I think it's quite good for spectators. But for racing, there's a lot of turns. And it feels tight, and especially when you're doing doubles and there's a lot of people on the track. I think as it got later in the race, it opened up a bit.
Yeah.
And that was noticeable in terms of I felt like we was going faster because of that. So I think that does make a bit of a difference, and you have to be sort of, if you want a good time, be ready to dodge and weave.
Yeah.
Any other closing remarks?
We'll see how we go to London.
We'll see you in London.